John, 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 John,
Oh dear.
John. Hi, John.
Hello.
We're back.
Well, we are. I. What the hell was that?
I'm excited.
Good. It is lovely to be back, Lee.
I took a few weeks off New Year's and stuff.
Yes.
Because New Year's is the liminal week where it just goes.
It's like transit, isn't it, in an airport?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
It's neither here nor there, and it's the buffer point between Christmas and actual New Year.
Yeah.
Where not much is happening. I mean, certainly not. We got to, I think, a point in that week where we both just went, "Oh,
we should be recording.
we should be recording a podcast."
Yeah. We just kind of left it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think it was the perfect time, really, just to recharge batteries. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, I had a good Christmas. Quite quiet. Can't ask for more, really.
Very good.
How about you?
Again, yeah, very quiet. Just me and my family, as it always is. To be fair,
Yeah.
Regardless of pandemic things or whatever, it was lovely, just as it always is.
Yeah. And New Year's.
New Year's was tremendous. We weren't sure if we were going to be having like a small gathering or not, but we decided to go ahead with it because everyone was feeling fine. Plenty of negative lateral flows and PTRs and all that, so everyone was happy. And it was a lovely time with everyone around, and a mutual friend of ours, Jamie, was ludicrously drunk. And if you're listening to this, Jamie, I am sorry for bringing it up, but it was very, very funny. And yeah,
I've heard the stories.
yes, that's for an offshoot podcast, I think. But no, it was wonderful, and I'm happy to 2022.
2022.
God, that's too many twos.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a nice year.
Wait until we get to 2nd of February.
Oh God, I know. Dear me, I forgot. That's a good point, actually. Dear me, but two. But no. Yeah, it's I'm glad to be back. It's a good New Year. I don't really believe in New Year's resolutions, really, but
nah, my New Year's resolution's 4K.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Oh, good. How? Okay, that's good. Oh, excellent. Anyway, so what did you have for me today, Lee?
If you couldn't tell,
I already know.
Yeah.
Obviously.
If you couldn't tell, it obvious by what I was singing really badly.
Yeah.
With all Johns. Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Specifically the Fellowship of the Ring.
Absolutely.
The extended edition.
Did I watch the extended edition?
Yes, you did.
That's why it was so long.
Yeah, that's why it's on 2 discs.
Oh, goodness me. So obviously, the reason why, obviously, as you know about the format of this podcast, I've never seen Lord of the Rings.
It's 21 years old now.
Sorry?
It came out 2001.
Oh, I know. It's that's a while ago. That is a while ago.
I actually premiered on my birthday in 2001. It was December 10th.
Lord, God. And you were 46 then, were you?
Yeah. I didn't watch Lord of the Rings till The Two Towers came out. Actually, I missed that one.
Oh right, okay. Did you not get into it until the sequel?
No.
Then? Right. Okay.
Because I wasn't into much. I say I wasn't into much fantasy. I loved Final Fantasy at the time. I liked Zelda at the time, but I don't know, other fantasy stuff just didn't have a grip on me.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's all fucking consume. I love fantasy stuff.
You're like, I mean, like going by the fabled bookcase that I think we've referenced before. That's currently it's my left and to Lee's right.
Yeah.
Is just an entire bookcase full of fantasy novels, games, memorabilia.
I mean, the novels are my partner's because I can't read.
Yeah. But the other section is yours then, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 32 and never learned how to read.
Goodness me. You should sort that out, really.
I know.
I'm
just really bad when it comes to books.
Yeah. Well, actually, I say that. I think it was until like my mid-teens when I really started to get into reading. Like, because I have a massive library at home.
Yeah.
And it's extending right now. In fact, I over the Christmas period, I got Wuthering Heights.
Good song.
It is an excellent song. It's also hopefully a good book as well. I got Mouse by Art Spielman as well. One of the greatest graphic novels ever created, but
Mouse spelled like M-A-U-S.
Yes.
Mouse.
Yes.
I know of it. I've never read it.
Yeah, same. But apparently it's up there with the likes of Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns and great stuff like that. What else did I get? I also got Oh goodness me! Oh, another an updated copies of The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. Um, another edition of The Great Gatsby. Books that I've already read,
Yeah.
but I never liked the covers. You see, so and another cover of the picture of Dorian Gray, which I've never read, but I will be reading soon. But today in the post came Naked Lunch by William Burroughs, which I'm very excited to read. But yeah. Back to fantasy, yes. You weren't, so it wasn't until like the second one that you watched it.
Yeah, like I wasn't into fantasy. It kind of kicking and screaming trying to see Lord of the Rings, and then I watched it and I was like, yeah,
yeah,
This
you
is my
really
jam.
into it. Yeah. So yeah, I was. I mean, obviously, I was aware of Lord of the Rings.
yes. I mean, you
Um,
couldn't not.
you couldn't not be.
It's one of the big films that came on the past.
Yes, it is. It was just one of those films that, like, well, series of films that literally everyone I know, apart from again a reference Jamie, I think he's the only other person who's not seen it.
Really?
I don't think he's seen it. My parents hadn't. Well, my mum hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
Because she's not really into fantasy at all. Like fantasy sci-fi, it's just not her thing. My dad's seen it. I think he's seen all of Lord of the Rings. Yes, I know he has because he had pirated copies of the DVDs from when I was young.
Yep, same.
Yeah.
I had like for your consideration at the bottom.
yeah. So I know that he'd seen him, and he was watching the Hobbit films, which are prequels, I believe, aren't
Yes.
they? Okay. But obviously I was aware of Lord of the Rings. I knew all the memes. I knew, one does not simply, take a piss without taking a shit or something like
Yeah,
that.
in the
that
Mordor,
whole
yeah,
thing.
that's the one.
That's the one.
Sean Bean's famous line.
Yes. Obviously Gandalf, I was aware of Ian McKellen's role. I was aware of all the funny stories that he told on Graham Norton, where he said because he was nominated for playing Gandalf.
Yeah.
It was in this film, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, they got every film got a lot of nominations for Oscars.
Yeah, it was like 12 Oscars or something like
Yeah.
that, something mind-boggling. And so he said he was nominated for playing Gandalf, and of course they shot it in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And he was going to the Oscars, but he was wearing these green beads around his neck, which is called punami, and they're meant to be like sacred like stones from New Zealand. Which if you wear them for long enough, you'll find your way back to New Zealand at some point, and they'll bring you a bit of luck. So he was wearing them, and all the New Zealand members of the crew were wearing them on the night, and he bumped into Maggie Smith, and his impression of Maggie Smith was so funny. He went, "Yeah, hello, what are you here for?" Yeah,
That sounds like your impression of Tom.
it does. It does. And just for context as well, Tom is I think we've mentioned Tom before in here. He's
Our friend Tom.
Our friend Tom.
The next
He's-
podcast.
Yes, he's a very, very good friend of ours. Filmmaking genius and all around
Oh, God, yeah.
tremendously funny, dry-witted guy. King of one-liners as well, I
Yeah.
think. But my impression of him just sounds like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't really sound like that, but
Every time you describe it, it always comes out like that.
yeah, it does. So Maggie Smith was like, "Hello, yeah, what are you here for?" And he said, "Well, I've been nominated, Maggie." And he was like, "I'm wearing my punami, Maggie. This is my punamis right now. Very nice. Yes." He said, "It's meant to bring me a bit of luck, you know." And he said, "And you sit there, and you sit there for," and he went, and it goes on for like 3 or 4 hours. The Oscars, and he went, "Oh God," he went, "You sit there and you sit there, and then everyone wins the Oscar apart from you." And so then afterwards, you're feeling a bit dejected, looking forward to a drink, and he bumps back into Maggie Smith, and she went, "Didn't work, did it?" So that's all I know of, like the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings. But of course, the great Peter Jackson
Yeah.
directed all 3.
Yep.
And which paved the way for his passion piece, King Kong,
Yeah.
which I have seen, which I think is rather quite good. If not regrettable that Jack Black is, I think, slightly miscast in that role. I think maybe, but that's an argument for another day. I managed to avoid it for the 25 years that I've been alive. Because honestly, the reason why I hadn't watched it is because it never appealed to me.
Yeah.
It was just something as simple as that. Like, I had nothing against it. I always said, if I was in a position where I had to watch Lord of the Rings, or like someone was like, "Let's watch Lord of the Rings," I'd be like, "Fine."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Sure, let's watch it. I have nothing against Elijah Wood or Ian McKellen. Like, I love Ian McKellen. And I always thought, well, if Ian McKellen's in it, then it must be good. You know. And if they've been nominated for 12 Oscars, or like, the highly revered, like loved passionately loved films.
Yeah, yeah.
Like incredibly much loved. And it's the greatest fantasy franchise in the world, I think, really.
Yeah, it's up there. Like, this is one of the big blockbuster films. Like,
Absolutely.
I think the only thing that came previously before it in terms of like hype and kind of worldwide phenomenon was Star Wars, to be honest.
Yeah, like the closest thing I could compare it to is Star Wars, really. This big sweeping odyssey, do you know what I mean? Which is what it is. And so you gave me the DVD
Yes.
copy, not the Blu-ray.
No, I've got my reasons for this.
Yes, which are?
So, the Blu-ray, you can really see like all the little cheats and all the little like kind of things they did, which was on standard definition, get away with. But when it's in Blu-ray, it's crystal clear that it's like, say, it's in the third film, but there's the scene where there's someone on a horse with a hobbit in front of them.
Right.
And when they're walking, it's blatantly a dummy. It's just, you can see the dummy just like statically moving. And then when it gets a closer up, it's just a kid. It's a tiny child.
A tiny child, right.
And
cool.
like in the standard definition, I think you don't see that as much. So it's like...
No. I have to be honest. Okay, so for a start, I watched it.
Yes, you did.
So I have seen the first Lord of the Rings film. I sat and watched Fellowship of the Ring, the extended edition.
Yes.
And I didn't realise it was the extended edition until I think actually I put it in. And I was like, oh, it's the... Oh, goodness me.
I thought you were going to say until it gets to the please put in disc 2.
Well, I knew it was... but I just thought that's how long it was. I just thought, it was just a really long... long film. I mean, it was like, it's like 4 hours or something.
Yeah, the theatrical's like 3, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was 3 hours. And then because I thought then on the, actually, right, no. Because I thought I was watching the standard edition.
Yeah.
But I thought that it was just, because it's 3 hours long. So the film is like an hour, like 2 hours or something like that on the first disc. And then the remaining hour is just on the next disc. But no, it was literally like another 2 hours or something on the next disc, and I was like, this is like 4 hours long.
Yep.
So I was like, bloody hell, and I was in for a ride, and that might be part of the slight criticism that I had for it, really, in that sense, was because of my ignorance to not realizing that I was watching the extended edition. I kind of found myself going, oh God, wrap it up. You know what I mean? like, come on, let's get on with it. You know, because it got to a point where I was really starting to get fatigued.
Just getting rid of it here. Running time for the original is 2 hours 58 minutes. The DVD extended edition's 3 hours 28.
Wow. Okay.
The Blu-ray extended edition's 48.
How?
There's about 20 minutes apparently on the Blu-ray.
How?
I know. I haven't watched it.
Lunacy. Absolute ludicrous. So yes, do you know what? I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I thought, at least from a filmmaking standpoint, you would.
Yes, I think, okay, for a start, from a filmmaking standpoint, it's baffling. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, I think it's an absolute technical achievement.
Oh,
and you can easily see why it got, like, as much critical acclaim as it did. Because I found myself, like, watching it and just the trickery of, like, the Hobbit stuff.
Yeah.
Really, like, the height difference. Because obviously Ian McKellen is normal man size.
Yeah.
And Hobbits are Hobbit size.
Yes.
And I was like, it's the kind of thing where... and this is gonna, and I promise this isn't like sounding like bitchy or anything like that, but it's but if you know him, then you'll know what I mean. It's the kind of thing where you watch it, and if you're watching it with Tom would go, well, it's obvious how they did that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really screamingly obvious how they did that, and I'm actually really baffled that you don't know how they did that. And I was sitting there going, I don't know how they did this. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so which bit you talking about? You talking about the carriage?
Well, just how the carriage was the moment that I noticed. I was like, okay, because when I was watching it, and when Gandalf first appears on his carriage,
yeah,
and Elijah Wood appears on that little hill thing,
yeah,
I was like, okay, I can kind of understand how they did that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like perspective and like it split melding together of two shots. Yeah, sure. But when he hops on the carriage and like gives him a hug and stuff, and I was like, was that done with a child?
Half and half. So he hops on the carriage. That's Elijah Wood. but when he goes to hug, it's like a kind of a back shot,
Right.
so you can't.
Yeah, I know. I thought, yeah, because you
Every
don't
time
see.
you see like a hobbit hugging someone
It's a
taller,
dra-
it's
it's a-
normally back shot.
It's a back shot, right? It's okay. Sure.
But the carriage was forced perspective, so Elijah Wood's sitting close to the camera, and Ian McKellen's back a bit.
Right. Yes, he is.
So when
yeah.
it's straight ahead, it looks like they're together, but
Mhm.
he's like
So clever, isn't it?
so far back.
And so simple.
Yeah.
But like that's what I thought. I was just like, this is very clearly in camera trickery.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure like how it was achieved. So I'm so that makes total sense, like the whole perspective thing.
I believe Bilbo's house was 2 sets.
Right.
A smaller set for Ian McKellen to kind of crouch around and kind of hit his head,
Yeah,
and a normal size
normal
set.
size set for
the
Ian
Hobbits.
Holm, yeah.
But, again, when they're on the coffee table together,
yeah.
that was like, I think there's different bits of table and different bits, so he's like pouring over here and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
Another forced perspective thing to make him look like he's sitting there hunched over
Yeah.
while he's still getting stuff passed to him and stuff.
Oh, it's so clever, isn't it? It's so good. It just makes it. And that was the thing. And I was watching it, and I was thinking, this is the reason why we become filmmakers. Do you know what I mean? Just to just be really, really creative, and figure out how to do things that would at one time you would think, oh, this is ludicrous. Like how's that done? How's that done? But it's just problem solving, isn't it? Really, it's just figuring out like how can we do this the best way possible.
I mean, the film's what now, 20 odd years old, and it still looks great.
That's precisely what I was about to say. Like that's the because for a start, I forgot to take notes during this when I was watching it. So
That's a good sign.
yeah, I totally forgot to take notes when I was watching it. Because I think partly because I was quite engrossed in it. And I just felt like sitting watching this film and just looking at it, breaking it down like how I often do when I watch movies. But that's the thing, I don't usually take notes. So so I just thought I didn't think at all. I was just sitting watching Lord of the Rings. And that was the first thing that I really thought of was this film came out in 2001 and it still looks
Fantastic.
It's fantastic for its age. It is aged really well, and especially the bit where like the CGI bits where they're fighting that big troll thing.
Yes, the Balrog. The troll. Yeah, the troll.
The big. Was it an orc? Was it a big orc, or was it a big?
Sasha's gonna kill me if I get this wrong. My partner. Sorry, Sash. It's a cave. I think it's a cave troll when they're fighting in the mines.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Yes. Okay, so like the big cave troll thing, and I was like, obviously you can tell it's CGI.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, God, it's still, and I don't know if it's just because it's a DVD copy, so it's not quite as high resolution as it could be. But I was thinking, this still looks good for a 20-odd-year-old film, like a 21-year-old film. It still looks good.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, people today, like it's some they may have even looked better than some CGI today. Really.
Well, it's a good comparison to The Hobbit. The Hobbit was full CGI.
It's terrible, isn't
Great.
it?
There's a great story behind it. Lindsay Ellis video.
Yeah.
If it's still online.
Yeah.
She went and talked to like some of the staff and stuff and talked about like just how badly the production went, and that's because
The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it was rushed. That's why it was mostly CGI, because it was kind of rushed.
Yeah.
And then the Lord of the Rings, they took the time, I think, to start filming 98, 99.
God. Jesus.
And they just took the time, got everything problem solving, forced perspective.
Well, that's what it is, isn't it? And that I think is like one of the big things that like I really feel quite strongly about is passion and care. You know what I mean? Because it's like when you're saying there like that they started shooting in 1998. I mean that.
I think so, yeah.
Well, that's probably true because you can see. I mean, like for a start, the film's very long.
Yeah.
But putting its length aside, the vast majority of like effects that are done in the film is practical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I adore that so much because it just looks more believable. It looks real. You know what I mean? And it's like probably because it is. It's actually physically there in front of you. You can see the makeup on the orcs looks fantastic. Still looks fantastic. The whole obviously like the camera trickery with like the hobbits and stuff like that, and like the size difference, it's fantastic. And they only use CGI when they absolutely need to.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, yeah, the whole thing with like the firework bit.
Yeah, the dragon.
Yeah, the dragon thing dated.
When it shows
know.
The Fellowship when they all get together, and it's
Yeah.
got Gimli tiny, then tiny hobbits there, with
Yeah.
them standing there. That can, yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, oh yeah, you can like put like things aside for that, but it's but still though, I'm like, you know, that troll still looks really good,
Yeah.
and that big fire demon thing,
Balrog, yeah.
the Balrog, that still looks quite good, you know.
I think I might be wrong on this, but I think I might have been like captured kind of stop motiony, but not stop motion. They might have like modelled it and
Oh, so it's done with miniatures.
maybe, yeah.
Oh,
I'm
that's-
not too sure on that.
I
Don't quote me
hope
on
it
that one.
was. I mean, you can tell a lot of the sets were done with miniatures as well, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that I really adore. I adore stuff like that. I adore when they use miniatures, and when you do miniatures well, you can't tell that it's miniatures. And it's like, well, actually, there's a good example of when I started to pick it apart a little bit on, you know, Batman '89.
Yeah.
You know the bit where the bat plane gets shot down by Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
And it's coming down and it crashes. That was all done with miniatures, and now when you look at it now, and you look carefully at the streets and the roads, you can so tell that it's done with miniatures, and it's I'm like, oh, that's great, and it doesn't take me out of it. You know, it doesn't take me out of the experience because, you know, you're still immersed in it and you can appreciate it for what it is. But I just look at it as a filmmaker. I kind of go, you know, that's a wonderful way of getting around problems, and I wish that stuff like that was used more, because it just adds that other level of wonder and creativity to the process of filmmaking. And I think that's my biggest thing that I took away from Lord of the Rings. It was just a big expression of creativity, you know, and I think that's why it was so quite good. So yeah, from a filmmaking point of view, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, actually, as well, the the action sequences were really quite well done as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Just looking there, the Balrog's CGI.
the Balrog fully CGI.
Yeah.
Wow, goodness me.
Still holds.
Yeah, it does. It still holds up. You know, and like obviously the famous scene, because my mother was watching a bit of it with me,
Yeah.
because she was like, well, I've never seen it either, so I'll watch it. And I'll get onto her thoughts in a second, which actually ties into like what I generally thought of the whole thing. That whole bit with Ian McKellen, Gandalf facing off against the Balrog, was that?
Yeah.
It's you know, I was like, oh, he's gonna say it. He's gonna say the famous line, and he did, and I was just like,
He said the line.
He said the line. Lovely. It was very powerful. You know, that scene. You know, it's like it's still such a really cool scene. And I mean, up until that point, I was thinking, you know, Gandalf's a wizard. He hasn't done a lot of wizardry stuff, really. He doesn't really do much. I mean, he shouts in a scary voice every so often.
Yeah.
And the place like sort of like gets a bit gloomy. And he sort of like appears in one place and then another, and he sets off a lot of fireworks. So I'm like, you know, he's a jovial fella. You know, he's having a good time. He throws Christopher Lee about a bit.
Yeah.
How about Christopher Lee? Wonderful to see him. You know, he's one of them people who you forget is like, well, no, he's very much dead.
Yeah.
But but it's like, oh, good lord, it's Christopher Lee. You know?
Christopher Lee was the nerd on set who was correcting Peter Jackson because he was friends with Tolkien.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, so he kept him
Wow.
correcting anything. He was like, "No, this should be like this. This should be like this."
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. I like that. What I thought about that his character, Sauron, isn't it?
Sauron, yeah.
Sauron. Yeah. That's so confusing because obviously Sauron is Christopher Lee's character, but like the villain, like the evil spirit is
No, Saruman is his
Saruman.
character.
That was
Sauron,
it.
yeah.
Sauron. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Lots of S's.
Yeah, it's like Sauron is like the big bad.
Yes.
The big evil eye thing.
And Saruman is
Saruman is the other wizard who goes evil.
Yeah.
I kind of knew that was going to happen, like, the moment I saw him. I was like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I was like, you know, it's like, because the two of them are talking as if they're pals or whatever. And I'm like, oh, they're pals. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, Hayes looks evil. And like, he's going to turn evil. And then he did turn evil. So I was like, well, yeah, of course he was. You know what I mean? But it just kind of, that's the thing I think about the story, I think is the strongest point of actually no, I'll finish my point about Ian McKellen because I was going to say that.
Yeah.
The CGI looks great in that scene, especially when like when like his shield thing came over and when he falls to his death and all that sort of thing. You know, I just really was just immersed in it, and I thought, I believe it. You know, the scale. That's another thing as well. Scale. Good Lord, this film does scale well. You know, and you feel it. You know, especially like those bits where they're on that big river.
Yeah.
And there's like those two massive statues and stuff. That's the moment where I thought scale. You know what I mean? And that was just fantastic. Those loads of sweeping shots of like different,
them running and
of them running and of landscape, like horseback riding, and New Zealand just looks beautiful.
Oh yeah,
it looks absolutely stunning, and I'd love to see that part of the world at some point.
Apparently, there's a Mordor pilgrimage where you start where Hobbiton was filmed and you walk towards where Mordor was filmed.
Wow, or like Mount Doom and all that, or is it? Oh, okay, yeah. Mount Doom.
Mount Doom.
What a name for a mountain.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, imagine if you lived there before. Like,
don't go there. Why Doom?
Not Doom. You know, it's called Mount Doom. Was it called that before all the evil people came, or was it there before the evil people came? Because I just thought Mount Doom. It's an unfortunate name, isn't it? You know. But no. I thought I genuinely thought from a expertly well crafted.
Oh god, yeah.
You know, so well crafted. And there's so many faces in it as well. That you know, that I never knew were in it. I like Liv Tyler. I didn't know she was in it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the guy who plays Aragorn, I knew he was, you know, there. Hugo Weaving, I forgot he was in it. Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who hasn't aged much
ever.
since then.
Like, she has not aged at all.
Yeah.
It's mental. Like, whereas like
same with Frodo.
Yeah,
Elijah Wood is on with it.
Elijah Wood has not aged at all. It was quite funny actually. I was watching recently. What's it called? Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
Which
she's in it. Yeah.
She's in it, and I was thinking when I watched this, I thought she was just in that film that I've watched. Don't Look Up. And she has not aged at all. By the way, have you seen Don't Look Up?
Yeah, I saw like half and half. It was on during Christmas and I was like, man.
What did you think of it?
It seemed alright. I mean, I was kind of zoning in and out of it. I didn't have a full watch.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, because it's by Adam McKay, and he did Vice and The Big Short.
Right.
So he's done like overtly political essay films, like, and he's very biased as to his political leanings. But like, I know this is going off on a tangent, but the point I was going to make was, all right, okay. Don't Look Up is fine. If anyone's watching this, listening to this rather, go and watch Don't Look Up and form your own opinion. But I thought it was a fun little comedy, very on the nose. It's very obvious what it's parodying. Yeah. It's very, very obvious on the nose stuff. But I think it makes itself very self-aware, so maybe that's fine. But Leonardo DiCaprio gives a great performance. He has aged so obviously in the last 20 years, hasn't he? Yeah. Like that, and I know that age comes to us all, but like when you look at Kate Blanchett, say in Lord of the Rings, and you look at her now, there's very little difference.
Yeah.
If you look at Leonardo DiCaprio over the course of 20 years, wow, good lord.
I'm trying to think of what film he was in about 20 years ago. All I can think is Titanic, which was 97.
That's not too far away.
Yeah.
You know, he was still like young, good looking. I mean, he's still a good looking man.
Yeah.
You know, it's like in this film, well, it's probably to do with like the character that he's playing.
He did have a scraggly beard at the start.
Yes, he did. And then he looks more like himself. I just thought, God, Leo has like aged correctly, I would say. More like Macaulay Culkin.
He's aged like an actual human.
Yes, Leonardo DiCaprio has aged like a proper human being. But Macaulay Culkin, on the other hand, I don't know where I'm going with this, but like,
I'm just going for it.
But Macaulay Culkin has aged so bizarrely because he's like relatively the same age as Leo. He's like in his 20s. Yeah. Well, actually, no, he's not. He can't be.
Maybe he's slightly younger.
He's slightly younger, but he's in his early 40s.
Yeah.
And he looks crazy. He looks like a weird human being, and I love Macaulay Culkin. If you're listening to this, Macaulay, I love you, but you're a weird looking fucker. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. My mother said, because I was watching it with her, and I went, and I could say she was engaged with it a little bit. I mean, she was doing other things at the same time, but she went, I went, it's all right, this, isn't it? And she went, do you know something? She went, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. She went, because I'm still not into fantasy. I wouldn't watch this sort of thing if, again, I don't think, maybe not. But she said, but I'm engaged with it because of how, she said, there's a level of humor to it. And I think, and like she was saying, like some good little one-liners here and there. And I thought that's what it is, isn't it? It's the writing.
Yeah.
It's the story. And that's the thing I think that is Lord of the Rings' strength. Because it's I can absolutely see that basically every fantasy property is based off Lord of the Rings.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like it's true though, isn't it?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is like big sweeping epic like that, like fantasy epic. A lot of things I've played and watched and things, all baseline comes from there.
Yeah. They are, exactly. And it's like, because like it's the whole thing of, I think the first exposure I got to that kind of story was when I was a small child and I watched this is so obscure.
John was a young boy.
He was once. You might know this. I don't know. Right, okay. Were you ever into do you know what Bionicle is?
Yes, I know what Bionicle is.
Right, okay. Did you ever see the movie that they made called Bionicle the movie? A Mask of Light.
I remember adverts for it when I was a kid, but Bionicle was like a little bit under my age.
Yeah. Because it was round about the same time as Lord of the Rings, I think.
Probably about 2001.
2001, 2002, right? That age, that era. And I remember watching that as a child, and I loved it. And I thought this is like the best thing ever. But it's basically just Lord of the Rings, where they do the opening prophecy thing of like, right, once many thousands of years ago, when the world was taking shape, there were several rings given to the different races, like the dwarfs, the man, and the elves, and then there was one bad bugger who made his own ring, full of evil shit. And then there was a big war. They thought they defeated him, but the ring was lost. And then that forms the basis of the story. And that's basically what Mask of Light is. So there was a
mask? Mask given to masks?
There was a mask. Yes, exactly. So what the plot was of Mask of Light was there was obviously the this island and there was the spirit of Mata Nui. Who was, because it's all based on like New Zealand folklore, I think.
It was Mata Nui thing in Moana, or something close to,
close to it. Well, it's either New Zealand folklore or no, it's not. It's Hawaiian folklore, I think. Yeah. So it's based on like that sort of thing. So Mata Nui was this spirit in Bionicle, and they created the Matanoran or something like that. Oh, the Matoran, I think, or something like that. I'm really trying to remember the lore of this. But they had the mighty warriors called the Toa, and the Toa were this is so nostalgic for me. I'm really like the Toa, who were like these basically like Power Rangers, effectively.
Yeah.
Figures who protected the island and also fought against the evil spirit of Makuta. And Makuta was the evil brother of Mata. God, it just got very bright in this room.
Yeah.
So Makuta was the evil twin brother of Mata Nui, and he put him in a deep slumber. And he was going to like take over the world and not take over the island or whatever. But then they defeated him, and then he was hiding in the shadows. So basically, it's Lord of the Rings. Do you know what I mean? But then there was this mask called the Mask of Light that was hidden. And it was like the seventh, the fabled seventh Toa, who would, whoever puts on the Mask of Light, the chosen one, will become the seventh Toa and bring about. So it's basically Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, and then we'll bring about like kill the evil one forever. So it's also, there's a bit of Star Wars in there. There's a bit of chosen one stuff. And which again, similar to Lord of the Rings, because Frodo is effectively the chosen one.
Yeah.
In a sense. So, but there was the six Toas. There was Tahu, who was like the fire guy. Kupaka, who was the ice guy. Gali, she was the water one. I can't remember the rest of them. There was Liwa, who was like the foresty air one. There was there was the stone one and the earth one. There's no difference between stone and earth, right? Really, but like they were grasping at straws with that one. I think they were trying to but I can't remember the names. Pohatu and Anua. That was it. Yeah, Anua was the stone one, and Pohatu was the earth one. I think it doesn't matter. Anyway, but then eventually, like two little fellas who was one of them was a hockey player and the other one was his best mate. And they went on and the Mask of Light apparently was calling to this little lad to go and be the chosen one. So they went on this epic journey to the Mask of Light was going to guide them, right?
Right, I'm still listening.
To where they needed to be, to the summit where the Mount Doom. Well, they're going to Mount Doom where the seventh Toa would appear. The person who was going to put on the mask was going to appear, and they were going to put it on, and then he would become Space Jesus. Hawaiian Jesus. But do you know who was sent on the journey to kill them as well? You know the Riders in Black? We had them as well. They were called the Rakshi. And they were big, horrible snake creatures. They were big, horrible snake bastards. Who are
big horrible snake bastards.
Big horrible snake bastards, and they were called the Sons of Makuta, and they were sent to kill this little lad and his mate. But then the little lad dies, and then it's his mate who becomes the seventh Toa. He puts on the mask, and Masker he was called the Toa of Light. And that's basically so little did I know that I'd essentially watched Lord of the Rings, but basically in this different child format. And then I thought, even the Christmas show at Northern Stage, while it's not Lord of the Rings, it had an element of Lord of the Rings too. It's called The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and this version of The Sorcerer's Apprentice had like a little prologue-y thing where it was like, in the beginning, when the world was being formed, the magic was being dished out. To all the places, but then one of them got greedy and wanted all the magic to themselves, and then the magic was lost forever. But now it's sort of made itself known again.
Is the Sorcerer's Apprentice Disney?
Yes, but
which is definitely based on Tolkien stuff. Anyway,
definitely based on Tolkien stuff. But what I'm saying is like this version of the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Now that I've watched Lord of the Rings, I'm like, holy shit! Every fantasy thing
you see it a lot.
is based on Lord of the Rings. Like
thereabouts.
There was a magical thing that even Power Rangers, to some degree, like the new Power Rangers film. It's like the last. What was she looking for? She was looking for something, wasn't she? I can't remember.
I didn't watch them ones.
Anyway, well, it's like that's what I mean. Like the villain gets defeated.
Krispy Kreme donuts or some shit.
Krispy Kreme donuts, yeah. Like it was underneath Krispy Kreme. So like the villain gets defeated long ago by the old superhero fantasy figure wizardry people. The thing gets lost forever. The power, the big evil MacGuffin thing gets lost forever, and then all of a sudden, people now in the modern day have to come across that MacGuffin thing, and then have to go on a big journey to destroy it or to find it or go on some personal journey. It's all based on Lord of the Rings, and I was like, this is just that plot. It's
most
just that
high
plot
fantasy
line.
stuff will have some Tolkien in it.
Yeah.
Or who did Language of Wardrobe?
Oh, C.S. Lewis.
It's either Lewis or Tolkien because they were friends together.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, yeah, like there's a lot of Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is in like.
Apart from Lewis is more religious.
Yeah, like the Christian allegories are like rife in like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because like Aslan is quite clearly Jesus.
Yeah, he's very Jesus.
Yeah, he's very Jesus-y. So it's but like. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can see the overlaps in those like old-fashioned. That's where fantasy was kind of being birthed at that time. I mean, have you read Tolkien's books?
No, I haven't. I can't read. Remember?
Oh yes, you can't. Of course, yeah. But because I was going to ask you, is it accurate largely to the books?
I think the extended editions are to a degree. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff missed out. There's a couple of characters that like missed out because they're just filler and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe that. As much as you can get in like a film, they're very, very accurate.
Yeah,
from what I know.
Because I watched a video on like the background of Lord of the Rings and how it was made and things like that, and there was the bloke was saying that the book, because obviously it is 3 books still, isn't it? Like Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and then Return of the King.
Return of the King, yeah.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi. Hey. So, but like the whole thing of he said the books are almost encyclopedic in terms of its lore.
Yeah, I think the Silmarillion book is an encyclopedia. Basically, it's short stories, but has like
Yeah.
just. I'm trying to look now because I know it's probably on this bookcase somewhere.
Or the actual books themselves.
Oh yeah, my partner will have them somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably buried in something else, but they'll definitely be there.
Well, I can see Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, that's like Sasha's like first love of books really. Yeah. No, they'll be there somewhere. Because I know I did buy my mum the Lord of the Rings for Christmas.
Yeah.
She thought it was DVDs at first. I was like, "That's a book." She was like, "Oh, you better." She never read them before.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because like he was saying that like Lord of the Rings, the books are just like mammoth in terms of like the detail that Tolkien put into like the world and the lore and just everything about it. And apparently a lot of it's based on like Norse mythology as well.
Yeah, well I know, say the Balrog for existence, it'll tell you who created it, where it came from, who created him.
Yeah.
like,
yeah. All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, because I know like the elves, like they're very clearly, those versions of the elves are very clearly based on Norse mythology, where they're just like big stern people with pointy ears and stuff, you know, who like are quite wise or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Good with bows and arrows, you know. Good to see Orlando Bloom as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Another person who hasn't aged.
Another person, yep, hasn't aged at all. But like, you know, that's one thing that he was saying. He was like the books themselves, like they're massive, and he said like adapting them to the screen would be a mammoth task. And what he said, what Peter Jackson and the screenwriter, who I'm ashamed to say I can't remember his name, but what they decided to do was very clever and very appropriate in terms of adaptation, which is actually a good lesson to learn for everyone. Is they decided to focus it on one, because apparently it's not fully focused on Frodo in the books, I think.
Yeah, I don't believe so. I think
they're quite sprawling.
They make Frodo the main character in the films.
Yeah.
He's not the main in the book.
Yeah, which
everyone's just characters about everyone. Everyone's like story goes in together and comes apart. And
cool, yeah. So like that's what they said. Like in the films, making Frodo like the protagonist is a really smart and correct decision, because you know for film you do need that one character to, especially for films like this, you need that one character to stick with and to be invested in and to follow. And because when you're watching it with Frodo, because Frodo's just like us, he's just an ordinary guy.
Yeah, no
really.
Powers, no special thing about him.
He's just an ordinary fella who just gets sucked into this big sprawling adventure. And you know, and I think that's the film's biggest strengths, because you know, like I think a lot of us would react in the same way that Frodo does. In a lot of those situations, you know, he's scared for a lot of it. He doesn't know really the right thing to do. He doesn't want anyone to get hurt. He has these people around him for guidance, you know, and it's like you would be in that situation as well. And the fact that you're with him for every step of the way, it just adds to. It's like the Luke Skywalker thing, isn't it? You know, it's like Frodo and Luke Skywalker are very similar characters. You know, they both start off in that position of. They're just boys, you know, they're just young men who just...
Actually, Frodo's about 50.
He's about 50. Well, you know, comparatively.
Yeah, comparatively young.
Comparatively.
Hobbit years, yeah.
Comparatively young, I suppose. At 50, I must have missed that bit, Christ. Well, Bilbo Baggins,
Bilbo's 111, yeah.
111, yeah. God, that's a long time, innit?
Speaking of Bilbo, I'm going to go off topic. Do you like the jump scare with Bilbo?
That was really unexpected.
Terrifying, isn't it?
It was terrifying. It is. It's absolutely terrifying. That was the scariest bit of the film.
Yep.
Like, bloody hell.
Every time.
Yeah, it is. I was like, shit, what the hell? You know what I mean?
But I forgot the actor's name now, but he was Bishop, wasn't he?
Ian Holm.
Yeah, Ian Holm.
He died?
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, died like 2 years ago,
yeah.
Something like that. They're you know, obviously great actor though.
Oh yeah.
You know, and because of course Martin Freeman plays him in The Hobbit, doesn't he?
Yeah.
In the prequels and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I mean, just that in itself is like that really establishes so well because it's just a ring, isn't it? it's just a ring at the end of the day. But like they do such a good job of like establishing, no, this thing is really
Yeah.
fucking terrible.
The opening scene kind of gets it, where it's like, oh, I was
Yeah.
lost to get to someone else. Something
Yeah.
happened to him.
Yeah,
Curse falls it.
Yeah, exactly. There's a curse upon it, and like,
And then again, you see Bilbo unnaturally long age. He's 111. He's spry as anything. Then you see him with the elves, and he's just aged.
and he's aged, and that's one thing I thought as well. You know, and then that I didn't catch up on that really until
Because he
afterwards.
doesn't have the ring on him, so it's his
Yeah.
life's just draining.
Draining out of him. Yeah, it's God, that's just that's another thing as well. Like that's the subtle things like that where they do.
But there is a thing, the films tone down how long it takes to do stuff. Because where Gandalf finds the ring, fucks off, researches it, and comes back,
Yes,
that's 17 years in the book.
17 years.
Yeah, takes him 17 years to go.
Doing research.
Yeah.
Bloody hell! All sorts could have happened in that time.
Yeah, that the scale's been knocked down in terms of like time.
17 years.
Yeah.
God.
So if it was the same thing, imagine just seeing, you know, your wizard friend fuck off, then 17 years later, he's like, is it secret? Is it safe? You're like, what the fuck are you talking
Literally,
about?
yeah, literally. I'm like, that's 17 years later, right? You know that ring? It's bad, right? You know, it's a wonder nothing's happened in
I
that.
still love that line of hold out your hand. It's quite cool.
I know. I also really liked the whole the banter between the hobbits who come with
Yeah.
them, you know, and the whole
Merry
thing
and
of
Pippin.
oh, we're not having breakfast. We've already had breakfast. I mean, I know we had one breakfast. I mean,
Second
we're not having a second breakfast. You know, surely he knows about, you know, lunch and dinner and supper and all
Afternoon tea.
that. Afternoon tea, you know. He's like, I don't think he does, you know. And then he just throws them apples. Oh, it's so funny. I thought, yeah, man. And then when the fellowship gets formed,
Yeah.
and he's like, great.
Where we going?
Where we going? What we're doing? He hasn't a clue what's going on. Oh, it's so funny. I know, it's just like little moments like that I thought were really fun.
I think they're always needed in films, especially big films like that.
Oh yeah, you need like moments of levity.
If,
You know.
Yeah, if you don't do levity, you're in for a slog. You're in for a...
Yeah, and is that what you've got? Is that one of the things that you've got against like Zack Snyder?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Because they take themselves so seriously.
So seriously, it's a superhero movie. Like,
I know that is true. That I will give you that, because I know that we've had a debate about his, because I've got a soft spot for him.
Yeah, you
but
do.
I do. But I do appreciate that. I do like. I don't think there's no need to go like full like Marvel style, where every 5 minutes is a joke. It's like you don't need to do that. But like, I think Lord of the Rings has a
you need a good mix.
yes, and I think Lord of the Rings does it perfectly, because it doesn't sacrifice the story. It's still a serious,
Yeah.
you know, story that you can get invested in. It has drama and plentiful and all that, but it does have its moments.
You need levity just to
Here and
breathe a
there.
bit before you get your heart ripped out. Or
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's brief moments here and there of like levity, you know, which I do think are needed. And that's one thing I think that's lacking in his films. But anyway, it's you know, I do think, because actually I was thinking about this, which is, I have heard this comparison made a little bit, because when I was watching the Snyder cut of Justice League, because obviously that's 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And that's a film that to me doesn't feel particularly that length. But someone had there's been a few comparisons that someone made. It's like, it's very Lord of the Rings in its tone, and it feels like a Lord of the Rings film. And I didn't know what that meant
Until you
until
watched Lord of the
I
Rings.
watched Lord of the Rings, really. And I was like, it does actually, yeah. There is.
get it out.
That was my Chewbacca impression. There was an element of you know, Lord of the Rings when I was watching it. Now that I know what that means, you know, because again, that goes on like a big journey to find like the mother boxes, and then, you know, again, not in Mount Doom, but like on Apocalypse or whatever, you know. But you know, that's the thing. It's like the story really is like quite you know, like it sets the basis for most great things, as we were saying there. And I didn't ever feel lost as well. I think that's another thing as well. Like, I'd like to say is, I was really worried going into it that I was going to feel overwhelmed.
Because it does start off with a lot of exposition talking about.
Yeah, it does, and I'm really thankful for that exposition, because
Yeah.
I immediately knew what was going on. It didn't go over my head. I was just like, oh, there was like a bunch of people at one point who had rings that granted them like wisdom or
Yeah,
you know, like
everlasting
all that sort of stuff. But there was, and then of course Big Bad comes around with his ring, and then there was a big battle, and then everything's fine, but not fine because the ring is there. And that's another thing as well about establishing that the ring is evil. There's the whole thing with Bilbo Baggins, which is quite heartbreaking, but also Gollum.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see Gollum in this film,
Yeah.
which I didn't realize.
You only see his eyes, and that's about it.
You only see his eyes and you see his hands because he gets tortured at some point.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, that itself as well is a genius decision. Let's not see Gollum. Let's not see what Gollum looks like. We only hear about what the ring's done to him and how it's corrupted him and how it's like turned him into something
a little creature.
A little creature, yeah, a little horrible creature. And then there's a little, you know, obviously when he says "my precious," when Bilbo Baggins says that, it's a little hint to what he would become if he kept the ring. Yeah, exactly. And it's but it was just fantastic to see that, like, that whole thing. It's like, well, yeah, you want more. If you want more of evidence that this ring really is bad news, just look at how it subtly affects the world around you.
Yeah.
Even just Ian McKellen just going, "Oh, fucking hell, no, that ring."
Well, every man who sees it's like, yes, take, like, even like Sean Bean, like
Sean Bean, yeah, that you just knew.
Boromir, yeah.
You just knew there was going to be bother with him.
As soon as he sees the ring, he's like, fuck, yes.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, he has this look on his face, not just when he sees the ring, but throughout the film, really. I mean, he's the one character who, when they're having that debate, he's like, you know, we can't do this. We've got no chance, you know, but bloody hell, shouldn't we be using the ring to, you know, he's the one who's like in favor of using the ring.
Yeah.
You know, and even though, like, you know, he has his, you know, his redeeming kind of like moment at the end during that like final battle thing. You knew he was gonna die. You knew he was.
It's Sean Bean. He's in a film.
Sean Bean always dies in a film.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
thereabouts.
Yeah. And it was just, you know, that's another thing as well. I loved the development of the characters, because it's like Gandalf. For a start, he's quite unsure of things at some point. You know, I mean, yes, he's wise and, you know, he's powerful and that whole thing, but like he still has these moments where like even he's unsure of what to do. You know, and he's like, you know, he doesn't want to put Frodo in danger, and bloody even when he's fighting Christopher Lee, you know, I mean, he gets his ass kicked, but like he puts up a good fight though. I mean, like seeing them two fight, wizard on wizard.
He does the youngest young spin.
Yeah, I know. Like, what the hell was that about? That was again another fight scene for 20 years old. It still holds up. Yeah. You know, and also, and like, well, the practical effects, like Peter Jackson loves his gross out imagery, doesn't he? Yeah.
You can tell by like the orcs and stuff. Like, later on, there's another orc that's in there who's like kind of, I think backstory's got burnt or something, so he looks like all puffed up and like kind of like things like tuft of hair coming out of him a bit.
Yeah, he's all messed
Face
up.
is half melted and stuff like that.
God, yeah.
And he loves violence though. It's so much like
he loves it. And when, you know, when they're doing the whole fight, like the fight sequences and stuff, like they really go to town.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fantastic. And I loved as well the Riders in Black.
Yeah.
How they were actual people, like in actual robes.
Yeah.
Actual swords, actual pans. You know, I'm glad they weren't, because the Soul could have easily done CGI, and you know, but they were real. You know, there were real blokes in real robes, but there wasn't any mist coming off them. There wasn't any like accents or whatever.
I think the only CGI they would have done with that is just to block out the faces, which is in black and black, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I know what you mean. They're not like animated. The only time you've seen is when he puts the ring on, they have like the all creakly and
yes. Yeah, what they used to look like. Yeah. That was cool because I loved that, and Aragorn's story as well is like quite poignant because he doesn't want anything to do with this, does he? Really, like he you know, because it's his responsibility to become like the next king, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing Return of the King is in
reference.
I
mean, the title might give it away a bit.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's in reference to him.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But like, you know, you can tell that there's like, it's not just Frodo's story, it's his story as well, you know.
I think secondary characters to like big story, it's probably Aragorn throughout the entire film.
Yeah. It's like this is his thing of like accepting his responsibility and because he just wants. I think he just wants to have a nice life with Liv Tyler.
Yeah.
And just like go off and do elf on man things.
Yeah.
As everybody surely does in their own way.
I mean, yeah.
You know,
It's the dream.
it is the dream. It is the dream. It's the one thing I constantly hope for in life. No, but that's the one thing I really enjoyed as well. I loved seeing the doubt, but he's still, he still does it because he knows it's the right thing to do, even though he doesn't really want anything to do with
So when
it.
he gets offered, he's like, "I will come with you." She's like, "No, you just got to keep it."
Yeah. Yeah, because she knew
Yeah.
that this is not, this is not our destiny.
Yeah.
Your destiny is to become a king. And that's really heartbreaking as well. Because all this shit's going down and no one can just be where they want to be and just be with who they want to be with. This is why war is hell. It's I mean, do you know if it was a big allegory for something that Tolkien wrote, or was it?
I don't know, because it was. I mean, he fought in World War One. I think he wrote it after World War One.
Wow.
So he could have had some experience of war as hell, just like.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you do get that. I mean, because when Gandalf and Sean Bean's death, it's it hits you, And I read somewhere as well that the inclusion of that other orc fella.
Yeah.
He's not in the book. He's just invented to
Just to
be a physical presence, because it's
not many antagonists apart from the big bad.
Yeah, because I think somewhere they were saying because they were concerned that because Sauron is dead.
Yeah.
Still, really, and also he's at this point he's not really dead, but he is dead. He's just this big fiery eye.
He's just his spirit.
He's a spirit, which isn't really a physical threat, and also Saruman is confined to his tower.
Yeah.
So he's also not a threat either. So they had to put in this.
A couple of more.
Yeah, exactly. So they put in this particular orc who was particularly bastardry, full of bastardry, to sort of be that physical presence in there, which I thought was again a really smart decision. It did go on a bit.
Yeah, but that's because it extended really.
Yeah, and I do think that that will probably be down to the fact that it was the extended edition, but I just thought because the first half, the first hour 45 or 48, on disc 1, it didn't feel that long, really. I felt it went at a good pace. I was invested.
Where does it end on that disc again?
It ends just after they form the Fellowship.
Right. Yeah.
And then it continues on to disc 2. But it was just I was thinking, oh, good, and then I put on disc 2 expecting it to be another hour or something. No, it was another 2 hours, and I'm like, what? It's like watching another film, basically. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, so it was going on, and then I think that's when the film started to lull a bit for me. It started to not, I mean, stuff was happening, but it was just, we're going on a journey, and we almost died, but we didn't die. Let's fight some more things, and then, they did, and then, obviously, when Gandalf goes, that's a big moment.
Yeah.
And it's but then after that there's a bit I feel like it lulls a bit more, and it's I was thinking to myself, oh, come on, let's pick up the pace here. Let's keep going. And I don't know if that was just me, but I don't know, how do you feel about that?
I mean, playing it in my head a bit, trying to think where the film goes, because it's been a little while since I've seen it. I should have really researched this with you, but I've seen it that many times. I don't know. I can see what you mean. It seems a bit odd, thinking of film they'll go up the mountain. Oh no, not the mountain. We'll just go down the mine and
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of. I don't know. It felt necessary for the film, but I know what you mean being dragging along. But I think that entire sequence, I think all that's in the original film.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think when they formed the Fellowship, I think it's 45, 50 minutes into the original.
Well, that's.
I think most of the extended stuff comes in the start of it.
Really? Does it really?
Yeah.
That's mad.
If I'm thinking correctly, anyway.
Because for me,
I know when they meet the elves, there's a couple of more scenes that aren't in it around the elves.
Right. because for me it was that was the bit that didn't drag for me. I mean, the bit that did drag was the bit when they're actually moving themselves, and I don't know if that's just because I was like, I want to see what happens next in the story.
Yeah.
You know, because like the story kind of came to a halt for me during these bits, and like it was. I mean, don't get me wrong, the action sequences were cool. Thought they were fantastic. But I just felt myself going, all right, come on, let's see what's going on. The ending, very poignant.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, remind me as well, it's like, because Frodo decides to go by himself.
Frodo goes by himself. Sam chases him. It's like, if you're going by yourself, I'll come with you. Yeah, so he rescues him. He's like, I'm not leaving you. Because he made a promise that he wouldn't.
Yeah.
So they fuck off over the other side of the water, getting close to the Mordor. Is it
because Frodo doesn't want to endanger anyone else?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And I think because, well, he's got the ring on him, he's being tracked.
Of course. Yeah. So he's a danger to everyone else.
Yeah.
Basically.
And then if he's with people get tempted.
Of course. Yeah.
Having a Boromir. He thought it was going to happen with Aragorn, but he offers the ring to Aragorn. He's like, will you take it? He's like, nope, it's your.
Yeah, exactly.
He's probably the only one man, I think, in this entire lot that like sees the ring and doesn't go,
Yeah. He refuses the temptation of it. Yeah. I think Sam's in love with him.
Oh yeah.
Sam loves Frodo. Like,
I mean, there's the joke of like, what's that movie about two gay guys that go up to a mountain?
Brokeback Mountain.
No, Lord of the Rings.
Genuinely, yeah.
And like, the way it's been written is a genuine love for him.
Yeah, there is.
Like,
yeah, you can see.
Yeah. Like maybe romantic, even like just mutual. There is a genuine love for that.
Seriously, I think
you could play it either way.
You could, and for me, when I was watching, I was like, this is a genuine romance.
Yeah,
because it's no one, you wouldn't, because he can't swim. Yeah. You know, why would you sacrifice, like almost like kill yourself for unless you desperately loved that person? And,
yeah.
You know, then Frodo gets him, and then the two of them go off together. I'm like, yeah, that's a lovely moment. That's a brotherly like love, like there, and even a romantic love.
Yeah,
you know,
like I said, you can read it either way. The entire lot of film is either a romantic love or a genuine just.
Yeah, and I think exactly, and I think that's a really appropriate. Like, I mean, because that's the thing. It's like out of these hellish situations where we're going on like a perilous journey, to cure the world of evil. Yeah. What's the one thing that drives you forward? It's the power of love, as Huey Lewis in the News once said. Yeah. And it's and it is. It's like it's love that carries us forward, and of course the fellowship, like the three. I really thought that was really cool at the end when it's like when it's Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn, the three of them together, but like the three different races.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And they and with them they decided to carry on. Still, didn't they? Or
they're going to get the hobbits.
They're going to get the hobbits.
Merry and Pippin. That's where they're going.
Right. Okay. They're going to get the reinforcements or something.
Yeah. Well, Merry and Pippin got carried off there because the orcs.
Yes.
And they're like, we need to get them.
Yeah.
But they're still kind of making the way towards it, but separate paths.
Right. Cool. Yeah. That's cool. And that sort of sets the basis, obviously, for the second film.
Yeah, like split off into like three. I would have said three storylines.
Yeah.
In the second film, so it's like Merry and Pippin for a bit, then Aragorn and friends, and then
Aragorn and friends,
and then Frodo and Sam. They all just keep on going between scenes and
yeah, like that triad of journeys and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was and I thought that was really cool. And again, one thing I did really love, and this is a testament to physical media. I haven't watched the special features, but it was enough for me to realize that because just for context, Lee gave me the special extended edition.
Yes, I did.
DVD to watch Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring on, and of course, as we established in there, that are you looking for it?
Yeah, I don't know. Why
sorry, this Lee is surveying the room trying to find it. But regardless, when I looked at obviously I knew it was on 2 different discs.
Yeah.
But I also saw that it was there was 2 additional discs full of special features.
Yeah, it's about 10 hours or something like that.
Isn't that wonderful? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this was like true value for money for physical media, of like 2 discs worth of special features and how they made these films. And I think that is wonderfully wonderful. It's wonderfully wonderful. It's because it's a privilege to be able to see how these films are made, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, and we don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
We don't get, you know, value for money in physical media anymore, you
Yeah.
know, and it's you know, but you don't get access to that stuff
Like through Netflix or anything.
through
like that,
Netflix
so-
or streaming services or anything like that. You know, it's just it's just the product and that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
Disney's getting good for that. Disney have quite a few backstory about stuff, but it's mostly the Marvel stuff. But like,
like behind the scenes
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I did find out recently there's a documentary on Japanese Spider-Man on Disney.
Oh, is there?
Yeah,
Oh, that's tremendous.
it's I think it's like Disney. It's like Marvel 713. I think it's called.
That's
The
really
first
cool.
episode is about Japanese Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Like, I never thought they would reference Japanese Spider-Man ever, because who knows about Japanese Spider-Man
Ex-
apart
ex-
from like
yeah, exactly.
stupid memes.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's
Got a
and
DVD somewhere.
yeah, but it's like you know where is you know, because I remember back in the day when you would get like even standard edition, like special edition DVDs, you would get like, say, for example, you would get Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 on DVD, right?
Yeah,
And you would have the bonus disc
yeah,
full of special features, and it would be several documentaries on how they made the film in different
how they did this one scene is like 50 minutes long.
literally it's like how we did this the train sequence,
Yeah,
how we made the film in general, a music video for the song that was released in conjunction with the
and
film
they
by Snow
say
Patrol.
that a hero can save us. That was
Not gonna stand
Jack
here and
Kroger.
wait.
That was
Yeah, from
two,
Nickelback.
wasn't it? Yeah,
2002, yeah.
it was
And it
Spider-Man 2, wasn't
sounds sounds like the early 2000s, doesn't it?
and they're watching us, watching.
It's fantastic. Oh God, you hear it.
Such a cheesy song. I
It
fucking love
is, you know, and it's like, oh, it's just tremendous. Anyway, but like that's the thing. You would get so much stuff. You would get interviews with
Yeah.
cast members. You would get, you know, like little vignettes on like blooper reels. You
Yeah.
know, like so
miss
much
blooper reels.
stuff. Yeah, like, but they did it for even Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Oh yeah,
That have you seen the documentary that I'm talking about?
I know which one you mean. I've been meaning to watch it. Yeah,
Watch it. It is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen because, right, it's so telling. It's just unfiltered. This is what it was like making that film, and it's so because there's no voiceover. There's no it doesn't cut back to interviews. There's no like narrative constructed. It's just the footage. It's just here's footage of George Lucas in his house in Skywalker Ranch in 1994, and he goes, "All right, today is the first day of writing the Phantom Menace. I just need an idea. I've got my paper and my pencils." He's writing the script on pen. He's pencil writing the script. Is that mad?
that is
You know what I
mad.
mean? It's mental. And he's sitting there going, "I just need an idea." And then you just see him writing. But that documentary's amazing, genuinely amazing, because it goes right from that first day of him writing the script in 1994, right up until the
premiere?
first, literally right up until the premiere in 1999. But it goes through, as I say, it goes through the entire process. It shows you the whole process of.
Is that the one you're talking about where they like the editing and that guy's just like hands
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, oh, fuck.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean, because when it's like you see in subtitles, George and the crew, the head of departments, are watching the first rough cut of the Phantom Menace, and you see them just baffled by it. Do you know what I mean? Like because like they're talking about. I mean, to be honest with you. It's no different to what we were like at university.
I
you know
mean,
what
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Some of our edits we sat and just stared at like, what the fuck did we
what
just
did we do? You know, but it's like, but I think though, in his defense, I think it's like that for every process of making a film.
Mm.
It's every film's like that. You see them watching the rough cut, and the editor is trying to explain.
Oh, this is why I did that. Yeah, that's exactly what it was in uni.
Yeah.
Me trying to explain to our like heads of year and stuff like, okay, this is why I did this.
Yeah, literally, and the editor's trying to explain why specifically, because you know at the end of Phantom Menace when it's it goes between 4 different battles.
Yeah.
It goes between the Jedi and the Sith fighting, the raid with Padme Amidala,
Yeah.
the space battle, and,
And Jar Jar.
and then Jar Jar's battle.
Which Avengers Endgame totally ripped off.
Yeah, totally ripped off. But the the editor's trying to explain how jumping from those four different scenes, which all have drastically different tones.
Yeah.
He said it doesn't really work when you're switching from really serious life or death situation with Obi-Wan and Darth Maul to slightly adventure-y thing with Anakin and then full-on comedic battle with Jar Jar.
Yeah.
It's just so jarring. And he
So
said,
Jar Jar.
yeah, literally so Jar Jar. And he said, like, it's hard to make that work. And then George Lucas was like, you see, once you put it in there, you can't really take it out because it kind of depends on the next scene. He went, I may have gone too far in a few places. You know? And then it cuts to the producer who's just sat with his hand in his mouth because he can't believe it, you know? And then they try and, like, justify it a little bit later on by saying, like, well, it's bold, it's meant to be that way, you know? It's like he's trying to justify it. And then he says, like, we'll never be Titanic. You know, Titanic was the biggest movie ever and that made the most money ever, and, like, we just can't beat that. We've got no hope of doing that, you know? And but watch it. Just watch the full thing. But
might come with the DVDs. I've got actually.
But that's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
If with the special edition Star Wars Phantom Menace, actually, and Episode 2 and Episode 3, all of them came with documentaries on how they made the entire film, like the whole process from start to finish. Why is that today? You know, it's like, because when I got the Snyder Cut, again to reference it, on Blu-ray, that comes in 2 discs as well, because the film's like 4 hours long. So it's like the first half on one disc and then the second half on the other disc.
And like, surely Blu-ray can hold.
Apparently not. Apparently Zack Snyder just wanted to do it old school, you know. But that comes with a documentary, I think, on how. But it's only like 45 minutes, I think, and and it's just the process. It's just Zack Snyder saying like, oh, this belongs to the fans, and this is the fans' process of how this movie got made, and then it's just like then it's just cast members just saying how good Zack Snyder is, and you know, like how he's a bold visionary, and like, yeah, that's great. Let's talk about how you made the film.
Yeah.
You know, let's look at the footage of, you know, conversations between actor and cast members, or, you know, because they even did that with the first X-Men film.
Yeah.
Again, there was a documentary on, like, again, very similar to.
I think 2000 were like, yep, let's just give everyone.
Let's give everyone value for money, and let's show them the process of making a film. And I loved that so much. You know, I think actually, to be fair, they kind of did that with Watchmen.
Mm.
You know, and they did that with oh goodness me. Well, they kind of did that with Dark Knight, kind of.
I remember I had a 2-disc special of Dark Knight, so yeah, I probably had a lot of.
Yeah, but even the menus, even the menu on the DVD, like, you can tell there was effort put in.
I love interactive menus. Star Wars had some great ones.
They did, they really did. You know, but it's just. Where is that? Where's that care?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, because I don't know if it's like people going like, oh, no one bothers with it. No, people really like that stuff. You know, it's because it gives you something else to look into.
Yeah.
And
I think this is trying to phase out physical media. Physical media is always going to be a thing somewhere, but.
Well, it will be.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, it's a silly idea. It's a silly idea because if you don't have physical media, if something is taken off, it's gone.
Yeah,
exactly. And you don't have it anymore. But if you have it physically and you have something to play it on, you've got it forever.
Yeah.
You know,
until that fucks up. Yeah.
Until that fucks up. Exactly. It's like you know, that's why I've still got my PS3. I don't have a PS4 or a PS5. I sort of gave up on gaming a little bit, but I'll still always keep my PS3 purely because I know it plays Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And I'll always have that. I'll always be able to watch movies now. Because until that dies one day, but like,
to be fair, when the PS3 came out, it was probably the cheapest Blu-ray player you could get at the time.
Yeah, probably, yeah, absolutely. And it's you know, it's obviously I haven't watched those, but I know that right there's 2 discs worth of special features on there.
Yeah. Of
documentaries on how they made this sprawling epic of a movie, and I think that's wonderful because it just adds something else to the experience, you know, and. I think it's a real shame that is kind of being lost a little bit.
Yeah.
But then again, though, the Beatles Get Back, which I know that Peter Jackson made a full, and again, that's 9 hours in total. And I used your Disney Plus to watch it.
Yeah, you did it. What's there for?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, and it's wonderful. You know, and that's, I think, the closest thing we got to a behind-the-scenes documentary of just being a fly on the wall in the process of making something creatively, and it's marvelous. You know, and we're losing that.
Yeah.
You know, in some ways, I really wish we documented us making Rebel Rebel. You know, making our dissertation film or making any other film. You know, it's like the whole behind the scenes thing is so. It's just incredible, you know, and it just adds another level of wonder and hope to filmmakers, young filmmakers, I think, as well. That, like, if you understand how to do something, then you can do it as well.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, we pulled off a movie. Well, was it a 15-minute movie? We pulled off a movie.
We did, yeah, but it felt like we were shooting a feature.
Yeah.
You know, it
edited like we were doing a feature.
God, it was, wasn't it? Oh my goodness me! Like tomorrow, I'm going to be starting properly editing this new film that we shot.
Yeah.
This new short film that we shot, which I directed and wrote, and you did the sound for.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going over to our producer Will Smith's house tomorrow to start the proper edit for it. You know, so we can hopefully enter that into festivals and do whatever we can with it. But that's going to be a long and arduous process.
Yep.
You know, and there's probably going to be many moments where I feel like it can't be saved. But
that happens.
But it happens, you know, and but that's what I mean. If only someone would film a bit of it, you know, and just be like, and just watch how entertaining it is, just to see
you break down. I mean, it's always fun to see you break down.
It is, isn't it? It's it's just but that's what I mean, though. It's like everybody breaks down, you know. Everybody like has those. It's like the Apocalypse Now, Hearts of Darkness, that documentary on how they made Apocalypse Now. Francis Ford Coppola was going to kill himself because the film was massively over budget. They were shooting for over a year in the Philippines. Can you imagine?
No, just been a year away for a year, just
shooting this movie, which he had no idea. He honestly said, "I'm going to tell you right now, the movie's not going to be any good," because they were still writing parts of it as they were shooting, they were filming it. Isn't that mad?
Yeah.
I mean, like, oh god, I couldn't imagine.
Just imagine being active, being like, okay, I've learned my line. Okay, this is this.
This is it. Yeah. Well, Marlon Brando was brought onto that movie to play Colonel Kurtz, obviously, as we know. And he said that Colonel Kurtz, Marlon Brando arrived. He said, "Yes, I'll do the film. I'll do it for you, but I want $1 million a week." And he was there for 3 weeks. And of course, Francis Ford Coppola couldn't get studio funding. They wouldn't fund Apocalypse Now, so he funded it himself. Because the two Godfather films had made him a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
Because of the raucous success that the Godfather films had. Similar to Lord of the Rings, actually, in the Oscars. You know, so he put a second mortgage on his house and his winery to fund this film. So he was paying Brando $1 million a week. So Brando promised that he would know the script. He'll have read the book, Heart of Darkness, which Apocalypse Now was based on. And that he would be in shape. He arrived on set, overweight, not knowing any of the lines, and he hadn't read Heart of Darkness. And he was also suggesting that Colonel Kurtz should not be called Kurtz. And I don't like the name Kurtz. It should be something more soft on the ear, like Laley. His name should sound like a flying in the wind, so we should call him Laley. He wanted to be called Colonel Laley. So if you look at Apocalypse Now, there's certain shots where they'd shot it under the pretense that they were going to be calling him Colonel Laley. So when Martin Sheen is up saying, "Can we talk to Colonel Kurtz?" when they arrive at the compound, if you look at his lips very carefully, he says Laley, but they overdubbed it so well that he says Kurtz, because later on, and there's also another bit where Dennis Hopper goes, "Up there, Colonel Kurtz," but he's saying Laley with his lips, because he sat with Marlon Brando. Coppola sat with Marlon Brando for a week talking about the character. For a week. They didn't shoot for a week. Everyone was pissed off.
And he got paid $1 million for that.
And he got paid $1 million for it. And Brando was like, Coppola was like, "The bitch, son of a bitch, I know what he's doing. He's delaying this film so he gets more money." So, you know what I mean? And he thought, "Oh, you fucking bastard." So they were talking about the character for a week. and he eventually he came back the next. Well, he was saying, I think Kurtz should look like he should have a bald head. He should look like skeletal and like like death, and Brando was like, no, it won't work. So he leaves, comes back the next day with a shaved head, and he said, Brando, Marlon, I thought you said it wouldn't work. He said, well, and I said to you that I read the book. I never read it. But I read it last night, and obviously he's described as having a skull-like head in the book, and I think that'll work. And I think we should call him Kurtz. So then they went back to calling him Kurtz. But all the dialogue in the film with Brando was improvised. And the irritating thing about Marlon Brando is he's a bad bloke. He's an absolute bastard of a man.
I've heard that.
Yeah, absolute bastard of a man. But genuinely one of the greatest actors ever. Because you watch him in Apocalypse Now and he's phenomenal. He's genuinely phenomenal. And because he just gets acting, you know what I mean? And it's like, it was the same thing in The Godfather. Never learned his lines. So, if you've seen Godfather 1, there's a bit in the garden where he's doing this. He's acting and he's looking off into he's periodically looking off every now and then. Because someone's holding up boards with his dialogue on. Genuinely, he was reading the dialogue. And he thought like, oh, it's because it's spontaneous. He'll do something new every time when he's reading it. It's new and fresh. It's alive in his mind. No, it's a lazy actor. Can't be bothered to learn his lines.
Yeah.
And when Coppola was talking about this with Martin Sheen in a wonderful video actually about Apocalypse Now, and he was saying, I've just realised I've gone on another tangent about Apocalypse Now.
My friend John Extended Edition.
He said, Brando hated talking about acting. Because he didn't think of it as a big deal. He didn't, he just got it and he just did it, and I thought that's so fascinating, isn't it? That like some actors like put such emphasis on, the craft and the method of acting, but Brando just didn't think of it as a hardship or a big deal. He just sort of did it.
Same with any craft as well. Be one person, like probably a few musicians, like it's fine, and people learn it for years, like chords.
Literally, yeah, and but so much so that he downplayed acting as a profession.
Yeah.
And someone asked him that, and I think Larry King asked him. He said, "Why do you downplay acting as a profession?" And he was like, "Well, because acting's the one job that pays you a lot of money while it is you figure out what it is you really want to do." You know what I mean? I thought, you bastard. You know what I mean? But like, but the point I'm making is, I was able to tell you all about that because of a documentary.
Yeah.
Because of special features. Because of, added content that we're lacking right now. And thankfully, there's 10 hours of Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring that I would be able to tell you how they made it.
Yeah.
Because I'll have watched the 10 hours plus of special features and how they made this wonderful film. But that's that's the thing. It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, do miss a bit.
It
helps for again up and coming filmmakers like us.
It does exactly. Like because that's how you learn. And it's not boring and it's not out of reach. It's interesting and it's exciting. It's like going on a quest to Mount Doom.
Yeah.
To destroy a ring that's evil.
To see how force perspective works.
And to see how force perspective works, exactly. But yeah, I did really enjoy it. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And I think what it was the stuff. I'm still not a huge fantasy fan.
Yeah.
Because like elves and having said that, I love Norse mythology and I love Greek mythology, but I don't think that's like historical like legend, really, isn't it? In a sense, it's not really fantasy, is it? Really, to some degree, kind of.
I mean, yeah. Don't think Minotaurs existed really.
No, they didn't. But but it's I like folklore stuff and I like. I mean, that's why I like Viking stuff, Viking like Norse mythology a lot. That's the thing. It's mythology, It's.
And I think this film does a good look of like this is their folklore and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It is like watching a big folklore thing come to life. So in that sense, yeah, still not, as I say, still not a massive fantasy fan, but I am glad I watched it. And I think what got me was the story, because it was very easy to follow. I wasn't overwhelmed at any point. The lore didn't get in the way.
Yeah.
I thought the lore was very easy to follow, actually, and quite accessible to understand. And I think that is one thing that Peter Jackson did very well. I think he understood that a lot of people who watch this film won't be familiar with the books, they won't be familiar with the lore, and they may not even be massive fantasy geeks.
Yeah.
So what he did was he made sure it worked as a film.
Yeah.
And as a story. And that's what really came through for me, and that's what I really appreciated. You know?
I'm glad you enjoyed. It means my partner's not going to kick you out of the house and not like a Lord
No,
of the Rings.
exactly. No.
It's a favorite film.
No. Favorite film ever?
Oh yeah, I think Sasha would say that's probably her favorite film, favorite series.
Wow.
She's watched them so many times, more than me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like? Does she like the first one the most, or?
I don't know. I'll have to ask her.
Yeah. But yeah. Are you gonna ask me the question?
Do you want to watch the second one?
Do I want to watch the second one? Yes.
Should we do it for next week?
Go on then.
Yeah. At least we don't have to think. Cool. And then after that, I'll put all three of them together as one big extended edition podcast.
Good Lord. Oh God. Strap yourselves in for that.
Oh, can't wait.
So-
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to see what you think of the second one, and
Yeah.
it's probably going to be shorter than this one because I think we've talked most about Lost.
we had, yes. But no, I'm happy to do that. Yes,
Yeah,
I'll
I'm happy
watch. If yeah, I'll watch Two Towers. Why not? Because I do want to know what happens.
Yeah,
You know, I am.
we may as well do it for this.
May as well,
Get
exactly.
some content out of it while you're watching.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah. So yes, Two Towers. I'll give that a go.
Mint. That's going to
Yeah.
be next week.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think Two Towers is my favourite out of the three of them.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes if you're doing a trilogy, sometimes people say that the middle one is often the best one.
I always tend to think the middle one's sometimes the weaker one.
Do you
So
think?
I think sometimes middle ones tend to bridge between second and third.
Well,
It can be a weak one in things.
maybe. I mean,
It didn't work for Star Wars. I thought it was going to work for Star Wars. It didn't work for Star Wars.
In what respect?
Well, everyone slated. What was the second one called? That's the eighth one called.
Last Jedi.
Was the Last Jedi?
The Last Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Are we talking about the sequel trilogy then?
sequel trilogy.
Right. Well, okay.
A lot of people hated the second one. I didn't.
Loved the second one.
I didn't hate it, but I was like, okay, I can see why people didn't like it. It was like, it's a middle one, leave it till the next one.
Jesus.
And then the next one was kind of bad.
Well, the thing is, because the chickened out. That's why.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's like, right. I'm gonna give a hot take here, as the youth like to say.
Hot take, John.
Hot take, John. Last Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, is one of the best Star Wars films made. Right.
Very hot take. Spicy hot take.
Yeah, it is. It's arguably it's because my favorite Star Wars film is The Empire Strikes Back. It's the best
Obviously,
one.
Yeah, it is the best
It
one.
is. It is objectively the best Star Wars
Yeah.
film. The second best Star Wars film, maybe Return of the Jedi, maybe the first one. I'm not sure.
I know, I quite like Rogue One. I know you're not
Are we talking just episodic Star Wars?
episodic, okay. If we're talking episodic, then
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, Jedi.
Maybe Return of the Jedi. I honestly think, and I'm not afraid to say this, I don't care how many people I piss off, The Last Jedi is probably the third best Star Wars film. Because it's the only one in recent memory since the prequels that dares to do something different.
I get what you mean.
It goes off in its own direction. It totally defies expectations, but it does it in interesting ways. I honestly think that is the case. Because, of course, Luke would be a hermit and not wanting to have anything to do with anything, right? Of course he has doubts about himself. And the fact that he appears at the end, projecting himself as what people needed him to be, is a symbol of hope. As Luke the Legend. Because he says, like, what they expect me to turn up and face down the First Order with a laser sword. That's exactly what he does.
Yeah.
But he does it because he knows that that's what Rey was trying to tell him. She was like, well, yeah, that's what we want you to do because we need you to do that. Because maybe that's what people need. They need a bit of hope. You know, that anyone...
Need a new hope.
We need a new hope, and that's exactly what he does. He turns up as an unstoppable force of nature, and everyone's pissed off that he didn't actually appear. No, that's better, because he used the Force in a way that we'd never seen before. You know, he truly used the Force in a way that a Jedi is meant to use the Force.
I remember Ryan Johnson on Twitter around by that time. He was getting a lot of hate for
He was
the
getting
film.
so much hate.
But he went, oh, what's this? And picked up his Star Wars lore book
Yeah.
and flipped it over to the force projection, what he did, is like, oh, look at that. Oh, look, it's canon.
Yeah, but who gives a shit? You know what I mean? It's like, and this is the thing about the fan base. It's like if you ask someone why, I'm aware that we're going way over here, but
Oh god, yeah, that's fine.
the Last Jedi. The main reason why I think people have issues with it is because, okay, they might not think it's a good story, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
A lot of them are nitpicking, saying like, how come like Mary Poppins? How come like Princess Leia flew through the air like Mary Poppins? Oh my god, they killed Admiral Akbar. Oh, it's big feminist propaganda. It's it's.
I'll give them the Akbar one though.
Okay, yeah, they unceremoniously killed Akbar.
Yeah.
But that's what happens in Wall-E.
Yeah.
You know, who was Snoke? We never knew who Snoke was. Who gives a fuck? He's just another villain. He's not important. You know, it's like, what do you want a Wikipedia page for every character? It's like, is that what you want?
I mean, that's what they did for the third film, didn't they?
Well, yeah.
There was some lore that you had to understand if you looked through Wikipedia.
True, but it's like, do you not think?
Or if you played Fortnite, you would know that. That was some bullshit.
Oh, some absolute bullshit.
Best line in that film was somehow the Emperor's appeared.
Somehow the Emperor's appeared. Do you know what I mean? It's like, fuck off. And I've got plenty to say about that third film, but you know, it's because like, and then Luke is like, no, yeah, we're gonna destroy the Jedi. We're gonna because the Jedi are terrible.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and he's absolutely right. He's like, yes, tear it down, tear it all down because it's terrible. You know, and then, but that's what fans were like. Oh, they killed Han Solo. Oh, they, you know, like, we just, oh, it doesn't matter about Luke. They destroy. Like, I'm like, no. What do you want? A nostalgia fest, or do you want something new? You know,
both. We want both.
Fuck off, man.
We want both.
Well,
and no feminist propaganda.
Oh, bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's like if you want that, then watch the old films. Do you know what I mean? It's like
they're not going to go anywhere.
You know, they're not going to go anywhere. They're not ruined, quote unquote.
Same thing
anything.
with Ghostbusters.
It's ridiculous. It's like, you know, I mean, the reboot's not good. It's just a bad film.
Which one? Are we talking about the old girl one or the new one?
Well, the old girl one isn't good. Not because it's got women in it, obviously. It's bad because it's a badly written film.
Yeah, everyone's written like an arsehole. Every single character's an arsehole. I noticed that.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, everyone's mean.
It's just bad because
Apart
it's bad.
Bimbo, himbo, fucking, what's he called? Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth, yeah,
he's the only
exactly.
person who's not a dick, but he's just a bimbo, himbo.
It's got nothing to do... It's like the same thing with Doctor Who at the minute. It's like, it's bad because it's bad.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the fact that Jodie Whittaker's a woman.
I really like her as a Doctor.
I don't.
Again, I liked Peter Capaldi a lot, but I thought his stuff was written terribly.
Right, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I think Stephen Moffat at some points forgot that it was Doctor Who and not like, he's not writing
Jekyll again.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like,
Sherlock.
he's not writing Sherlock or Jekyll or like some new. It's like everything's got to be really complicated and weird and clever and stuff. It's like, no, just calm down. You know what I mean? But no, Jodie Whittaker, and I think it's a combination. I think Jodie Whittaker's an excellent actress. She's not the Doctor. She has no idea how to make this character her own, and I think that's a combination of lack of direction, and no fresh ideas, and the writing. Jo Martin, the other female Doctor who appeared, like the Black Doctor.
Oh yeah, her.
Why wasn't she the Doctor? She was tremendous. Excellent, purely defined character from the beginning. Wasted opportunity while she wasn't casted. Yeah, excellent.
I think it was the last few episodes I watched of it. I haven't watched it in the past couple of years.
Oh yeah, well, hopefully Russell T Davies is coming back, so it'll be good again. But anyway, like The Last Jedi, it has a clear theme as well about failure, you know, and about standing up again and like trying again, as Yoda politely defines for us when he appears. And he said, like, yes, you did fail. You did fail Kylo Ren. You did fail everyone, but that's what happens, you know. And you get back up, and you start again, you know. And that's what he does. He projects him. He becomes what the universe needed him to be, and he humiliated Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't need to fight, and he does what the Jedi are meant to do. Because Yoda again says for us in Episode 5, the Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack. And that is exactly what Luke did, and that's what everyone's forgetting. You know, he humiliated Kylo Ren by saying, "Do what you want. I'm here, and you'll never defeat me. And you'll never defeat good because I'll always be here. You may defeat me physically, but I'll always be with you."
But blue titty milk, though.
Blue
titty milk.
It was green in this one.
Was it green? Oh, yeah,
it was green
titty milk,
and it was lovely by the looks of it. But like, you know, I mean, the whole side quest with like the casino, could have been better.
Yeah, the DJ thing was a bit shit.
Bit not great. But Finn did resolve his arc by fighting the Silver Chrome Trooper or whatever.
He still should have had force powers. That was supposed to be a thing.
I don't think he did. I like that they didn't go with that because it shows that you can still be a hero
and not have the force
not have the force and not be special, which is why the third film is an absolute betrayal of what they set up in the second film. Because the second film, Last Jedi, and this is why I love it so much, is because it sets up. Oh God, it does it so well. Because when Kylo Ren when he kills Snoke, which was a beautiful moment, by the way. Oh my God, we've never seen this before.
Yeah.
Like where he kills the big bad and then establishes himself as like. When they team up and fight those guards, which by the way,
good fight, really
incredible fight,
yeah,
so good. When Kylo Ren's like, "Fuck the Sith, fuck the Jedi, let it all burn, let's do something different," and there was a moment I honestly thought while watching it in the cinema that I was like, is Rey actually gonna do this? But of course she doesn't.
Yeah,
because she stands by her principles. But and that's one potential criticism of the film. It sets up all this stuff of letting the past die and it doesn't follow through with it. But I think it redeems itself by saying that no, sometimes you have to resist temptation and you have to stick to your guns and believe in what you believe in. And they do that by obviously she resists the temptation of Kylo Ren, who fully gives into evil.
Yeah.
And I love the little thing of when the commander goes he's about to kill Kylo Ren while he's unconscious, and then when he gets up and he's and he force chokes him and says no, I'm the supreme leader now. It's incredible. And you feel Kylo Ren's fury when he's screaming more. It's he's kill that man, destroy him, but yeah, but at the end, when that little boy, everyone's like, who is that little boy? How does he have the Force? It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. You're missing the point entirely.
The Jedi, the Force-sensitive people are still about.
The Force it's symbolic because it means that there's hope in the universe. It means because it's the rebellion has been destroyed to its little bit, right? And it's that little boy there uses because it means that good is everywhere. In the places that you least expect it. And you see it, and it's it doesn't matter who that boy is, because it means that hope is still alive. And that, the story's not done yet. And the people the nostalgia, Luke may be dead, Yoda may be dead. A lot of things might have happened that upset some nerds, because you didn't get to see your toys clash on screen that you wanted them to. That's not what Star Wars is about. Star Wars is about hope, as is set in the first film, and redeeming people when they fall to the darkness, and I mean, you can kind of argue that in the third film, but the third film is just an absolute betrayal of committing to actual genuine story progression and themes and
that's
stuff.
What you get when you swap directors and writers.
That's what you get when you swap directors and you don't commit to what a previous director set up because they shit themselves. And they thought, oh shit, we can't do this. So we're gonna bring back Palpatine. That's a great idea for no reason, doesn't make any sense, and make Rey his granddaughter.
That means Palpatine fucked. He fucked when he looked like that.
Amazing, isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
that genuinely amazing.
Palpatine fucks. That's all you need to take away from that film.
Ultimate Sith. You know what I mean? They really don't give a shit, do they? I hated it so much, and that for me ruined Star Wars. Not The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi was going to do something really cool and different with it. And I genuinely felt excited again.
I tend to like more the side story Star Wars, all the TV stuff that's on. I haven't watched Boba Fett yet.
I've not watched it.
But I liked Mandalorian a lot.
Yeah.
Rebels and all the animated stuff's great.
Yeah.
The anime that they did, I've watched a couple and they were great.
Yeah.
And the games, Fallen Order.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's
you haven't played Fallen Order, have
I've not, no.
Ooh, there's a thing. So I'm getting some recording equipment sorted to do gameplay footage because you said you haven't played games. Since
I do play games.
Yeah, but you haven't played anything major big since PS3 era.
No, that is true. I think the last time I played something of recent era was when I was at a friend's house, and I played a bit of Spider-Man PS4, played a bit of Arkham Knight.
You played a bit of Spider-Man and Arkham at mine.
Yes, I
It was in
did.
my flat.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
In
no,
my
I
flat.
played it at another person's house as well. But no, that's the last time I did it. Really.
Fallen Order is a good good Star Wars.
Yeah, good Star Wars story.
Yeah.
Alright,
Hopefully
cool.
it's getting a sequel.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, that'll be fun to play. Yeah, because the last
Cool,
game I
it's
played in full, I think, was Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, excellent game. But yeah, that's my take on The Last Jedi. I think people need to get a grip and recognize it for what it is, and genuinely really good film.
This has been the Lord of the Rings podcast.
And also, Fellowship of the Ring, great movie.
Yeah.
If you've not seen this 20 odd year old film.
I mean, you hadn't.
I hadn't, so but if you haven't watched Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, yeah, go and check it out. It's a good time. It's a great time, actually.
It's a great time.
It's a great time. And you'll hear my thoughts on Two Towers.
I can't wait because I think most of Star Wars, most of the Lord of the Rings memes came out of the Two Towers as well.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh well, there we go then.
We're waiting for it.
Yeah.
Right, I think we should end this podcast because I think it's on like 2 hours or something. now.
Well, value for money, as we were
yeah,
saying. Yeah.
very value for money.
Yeah.
I think we went on a complete tangent.
Well, if someone's going on a long journey up the A1, perfect, or the M1.
Yeah.
Whichever letter in one, you are a big road, big journey. Get us on.
Like I joked earlier, this has been my friend John extended edition.
It certainly has. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, next week gonna be fun.
Farewell.